Hey everyone, my name is Sean and I'm an independent filmmaker. And on this channel, I answer two film related questions every week. Question one: what is your opinion on the importance of canon in film franchises such as Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Harry Potter, etc.? Canon is underrated, in my opinion. I understand there are elements and storylines from previous films or other media that you may not have worked or may not fit the overall vision of the current movie. For example, in Star Wars Legends, which before Disney bought Star Wars was considered sequel stories to Return of the Jedi for a number of years, Chewbacca was killed when a moon crushed him. I don't think keeping that canon when they eventually made episode 7 would have worked. So I'm happy they retconned his death. However, there's still some awesome stuff in what now is referred to as Star Wars Legends, such as the character Mara Jade, that could have been included in the sequel trilogy. In addition, if we're just talking about canon in movies, I know that over the last decade, it's been popular to make legacy sequels that ignore some films that weren't as well received in a series. The Halloween franchise, Terminator, and Alien, just to name a few, do this. And I do feel it can sometimes be a cop out. Specifically regarding Terminator, I like Terminator Salvation, and T3 is okay, especially when compared to the two more recent Terminator films. While Salvation is nowhere near Terminator 1 or Terminator 2 Judgment Day, I think if they had maintained canon and continued the direction of Salvation, the franchise will be in a much better place than it is currently. In terms of Harry Potter, if you read the books versus watch the movies, it becomes very clear how inconsistent the films are amongst themselves. Still love the films, especially because of the number of directors who worked on the series. While not a significant enough problem to bring these films down, I think that if filmmakers can maintain consistency across different films, it adds more value for the audience who has spent so many hours watching, rewatching, obsessing, and supporting the media. Specifically, as someone who is a big nerd, I gotta say, I'm kind of a big nerd when it comes to connecting pieces and stories. For fun, I watch breakdowns from popular YouTube channels such as Screen Crush and Raw New Rockstars. It's a bit annoying when things contradict, at least for me. I grew up on the original X-Men series, for example, and I really enjoyed those films, but it always bothered me how continuity was just thrown out of the window when they were making them. I think even Deadpool made fun of this in one of his movies. Again, it all comes down to effort and planning. I get it. Things happen, better ideas come, and people simply might forget or might not be aware of things that were said slash done in previous stories, especially if said stories were in different forms of media like video games, books, comics. And so I believe if there though is an opportunity to maintain canon, I say take them. I truly think that the audience will appreciate it and will appreciate the filmmaker for at least attempting or trying their best to keep canon alive. Anyway, let's jump on to the second question of this video. If you can make a film based on one popular superhero, who would they be and why? Batman. I grew up playing the Arkham games, especially Arkham City. I have fond memories of beating that game, including the Harley Quinn DLC. Also, I remember watching The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises in cinema. Batman Begins, I never saw in the movie theaters, I believe. Actually, now I'm thinking about it, I do remember watching it just before The Dark Knight came out, as well as the older Batman movies by Tim Burton and, yes, even Joel Schumacher. And I kind of do like Batman Forever. Batman and Robin doesn't exist. Adam West's Batman, I've seen like 2 episodes in their entirety, to be honest, but there are so many memes and clips of that show that I have a pretty good idea, I think, of it. And I assure you, if I'm ever lucky enough to be hired to make a Batman movie, I will make it a mission. First thing I'm doing to watch the whole Adam West Batman series. I might even do that beforehand, you know. And so I'll make that my mission. And also, as I'm going on about my love for Batman, The Killing Joke was one of the first graphic novels I remember buying as a kid. Top that off with Batman the Animated Series, as well as some of the other animated movies based off the Crusader, such as Under the Red Hood, that I watched. And there's so many amazing depictions of that character. There truly are. The reason I would love to make a Batman movie out of every popular superhero, which for a time I used to say Spider-Man was kind of my go-to, but now that I've kind of grown up, I kind of leaned more towards Batman, is that I haven't seen the Batman movie that I've always dreamed of watching on screen yet. Don't get me wrong, I love Christopher Nolan's trilogy, and I really, really like what Matt Reeves is doing with the character. In fact, the Penguin HBO series is awesome. For those of you who have not seen The Penguin on HBO, go watch it. I'll even go as far to as saying that it's even better than the Batman movie, which I really enjoyed, by the way, and I think Robert Patterson does an incredible job as Bruce Wayne and Batman. I really like his portrayal. That said, the Batman movie I always imagined was a blend of the Arkham games with the touch of the Silver Age Batman. I remember when Ben Affleck was going to direct the Batman movie and he was going to set it in mostly Arkham with Slade Wilson as the villain. I was so excited, but unfortunately, that film never came to be. I also love the Silver Age gray and blue suit as well, and I think, going into the DC universe, that would be my preferred costume for him, especially because they've used on screen a lot of kind of the black and yellow suit or just all black suit. Kinda wanna see something a little bit different on screen. Another reason why I would love to adapt Batman is his rogues gallery of villains. He and Spider-Man have the best villains amongst the comic book superheroes. I think it's no contest. It's a fact. The two of them have the best villains. And while I love the Joker character, I do want to see other villains such as Mr. Freeze, who is one of my favorites of Batman's rogues gallery, take center stage. Some other villains that I think are underused in just movies and kind of just in media in general from Batman are the Mad Hatter, the Ventriloquist, Victor Zsasz is super creepy, Professor Pyg. I'd also like to see a Batman movie that is not so grounded in reality. I want to see a great comic accurate adaptation of Bane and Poison Ivy. Something that I would love to explore with Batman is the complexity of his relationship with his villains, using the failure, the criminal and justice system of Gotham as the backdrop. His approach of reform rather than punishment caused by resentment always fascinated me, especially when said reform, when it comes to his villains, honestly almost never works. Let's be honest, every villain he stops reappears not long after he captures them, just to continue this vicious cycle. Um, and I would love to ask the question, is it his fault entirely, or is it the fact that Gotham is simply eternally corrupt, where when one figurehead goes down, another one is waiting to immediately take their place? A Batman Year 100, for any of you who knows that comic series, would be a fascinating comic book issue to adapt, or at least draw inspiration from. Court of Owls, who I'm hear may be the villains of Matt Reeves' Batman Part 2, and fingers crossed, hopefully they are, or maybe if he does Part 3, hopefully they appear, would be an awesome, interesting group of villains to explore such ideas. So hopefully, again, we see them in the next movie. There's a lot of potential of Batman. There really is. And I think that we've only touched the surface in cinema, at least what can be done with that character. Anyway, thank you again for so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comment section below, what are your thoughts on these questions? Also, please like this video, share it, and follow my channel for more. And as always, thank you for watching this video and have a great day.